welcome back. It's been a couple of days. I'm sorry. Uh, if I knew the date, I'd put the actual date on it. Like I said, I'm still pretty sure this is August 2027. It's still hot, still muggy. We're starting to get cooler evenings, so it's got to be getting close to fall. So, speaking of which, I found a clock. One of these old school wind-up battery jobs, man. Or non-battery jobs where it's wind-up stuff. So, I don't know the exact time. I guess I can wait until the sun looks like it's directly overhead and put it as noon. That's neat. Anything for normalcy, I guess. That and something to listen to at night other than the crickets and the cicadas screaming at me. But, so I was at Dad's place. Alright, so let's get back to this. So, I was at Dad's place, man. I was upstairs. And upstairs there's two windows that face forward towards the road. Almost like, a direct kill box to the driveway on the way up. The one on the right is, because the driveway comes up and then it kinks around the house. So, I kind of laid out on a couch that was up there. And the rain started coming in and I'm close to the roof and I am a sucker for like rainy stuff. But this wind started howling, man. This I later found out was the second of 3 hurricanes. This was finally coming through. But the screaming, howling wind is like the rain puts me to sleep, but that wind makes me nervous, man. So I hear it screeching, and I reach up and worried about, tornadoes and stuff. I went over to the windows and cracked them. You're supposed to have the window there so the pressure doesn't overpressure in case there's a tornado or something. And right there before dark, man, I'm sitting there and the rain's just going sideways, and the whole world is gray. And you can't tell where the sun is, just a little bit over all this stuff. I heard somebody screaming. And man, this was an angry, loud, and not an English scream, to be able to be heard over all that stuff, right? So I was like, oh, holy hell. So, I didn't get into, that's going to say, if I don't know how to, I don't have the combination or anything, so all I had was my shotgun at 7 rounds, kind of freaking out a little bit. Oh crap, if a unit comes through there, man, I am just screwed. And, and I look down the window, there's no light in the house, it's not like I'm worried about being backlit, but I look out the window down the road, and I can see 3 people standing where those bodies are. 2 of them, got guns and they're pointing them at the house and around the road. They don't look like they're professionals. Like they look like they might be part-time guys. These guys are jumpy or whatever. I'm expecting any time, like an animal, just to step out and get a full magazine from these guys just because they seem jumpy. But their guys are dead there, so I get it. So the 3rd guy who's checking the bodies or whatever, it's been over, but they're all standing in ankle deep water, not enough to float anything, but they're standing there. He starts yelling at them, they're pointing back at the road, he's pointing at the house, and you can tell he says something definitive, and they all, the other 2 guys turn their weapons towards the house and start walking this way. And oh crap, I'm no Rambo, man, I am no Bruce Willis, John McClane diehard guy, man. I worked security. I'd been law enforcement, but I wasn't good at it. I didn't get further than the jail, man. So, but the world's changed, man. These guys are coming in here. Is gonna have to. Like before, it was all like spur of the moment. Holy crap, this has to happen, kind of deal, just to defend yourself. Now watching these guys slowly walk up, sloshing through the water with weapons pointed at you, you tend to have to make a decision, fight or flight. And I'm upstairs, I can't fight. Like this is a horror movie. Like I can't run out. I have to run down. The water wouldn't be in the house yet, but it's creeping up. So little Hilmer try to run away as I hear them walking slowly up here, even in the rain and the wind, So, this is the first calculated killing I did, man. So, I had that shotgun, and if you don't know, like the movies don't know, in the games and the TV shows and all that kind of stuff, don't know how a shotgun works. They're like, oh, it's only good in, that always annoyed me in video games. get a shotgun only works in the first 10 feet. After that, you just might as well be throwing rocks at them. Like, you use a shotgun to shoot geese that are flying way up in the sky. Like, there is range on a shotgun. It spreads out over distance. So I didn't wait for him to get right on top of me. They come in, and I had that barrel sticking out of that window. It was like cracked 3 inches, enough to put the barrel out and look out. But the guy on the far right, I swear he noticed it. And he raised that gun up, and it was now or never, man. So I let fly, and the first one hit him and the guy next to him. And they both screamed, dropped. The other guy went to shoot at the house, but he wasn't shooting me. He didn't know where it came from. So I racked another chambered another round, and, hit that guy again. The guy in the middle caught, BBs from both. But the 2 guys on either side, they went down. But the guy in the middle, man, he was still squirming a bit. And I didn't want him to pick up a weapon and go to firing again. The gunfire that we have already had probably going to alert anybody else that's nearby. If these guys are just a little scout area, or there's another group out here. These guys, they didn't know it was a hurricane. So that just reminded me that, their intelligence and their electronics are just as out as whatever. These guys wouldn't be patrolling in a freaking storm like this, man. They wouldn't be out in this. So, the Armwood didn't even know it was a hurricane, but they didn't know that either. So, damn it. I racked the 3rd one. I wouldn't put it in him. I looked up the road. I waited a few minutes. See if anybody's going to come running back to him. I didn't want to abandon this spot where they didn't know where I was. I reloaded the rounds I had, so now I was completely out of spare rounds. It was just whatever's in the weapon. So after waiting 15, 20 minutes, they didn't move anymore. One was face down in the water. Like they were gone, So I went out in the rain. I put them down looking for any kind of information, anything I could get off of them, nothing. I picked up the 3 weapons and a spare magazine off each one of them. I took those in the house, so I ended up taking all the magazines and putting them in my bag, and then 2 of the rifles I just left in Dad's house, propped up over by the gun safe I couldn't get into. And the 3rd one had a strap, so I ended up putting that over my back. So now I had a rifle, limited ammo, same as my shotgun, but it wasn't just down to pistol and shotgun, right? So now I got a rifle and do it good. A little heavier than I'm used to, This is AK looking thing, but it's got a weird barrel to it. Like, I don't know where the hell this came from. I am not a gun person. I am not the proverbial ammo sexual, I can't look at a gun and tell you exactly anything about it, man. I don't even know the numbers to most of them. So I got that. I didn't move them again. I want to be gone or have somebody here to help me. I don't know if I should try to move them, drag them, whatever. But it's still raining. The water's still coming up. So couldn't find anything on them. Like they had emptied their pockets. Like they didn't even, they had name tags, all different names. Couldn't pronounce half of them. Just the same flag patch as the other one. The red, blue, and yellow thing. I don't know what the hell that is. So I scrambled back in the house and sat out there and just paranoid somebody's going to come up the road. It gets dark, so I'm waiting for lights, anything. But all I get is more rain, more water, more wind. And then somewhere in the middle of the night, man, I dozed off, looking out that window propped up in the corner. And everything flooded. It got crazy in the middle of the night. I didn't notice it. I was straight up asleep. I woke up, looked out the window, and it looked like water had taken over the world. Like, you see the fence posts and the trees sticking out of it, but it had to have been 4 foot of water, 5 foot of water out there. Like, you can tell it was in the house. There was just water all over the place. The push in of the storm had pushed in that flood, and man, I didn't know there was that much water in the world, So I was there. I took out little canned food out of my bag, kind of ate that. Had to try to pee out the window, but it's chest high. So that was an acrobatic feat. Might have got a little pee on the wall, but don't tell my dad, Hello, future people. Yeah, I don't feel well, so I'm gonna get this out. That's the problem with the world and civilization coming to an end as we know it. Is you get sick, you just sick, man. You might have medicine, you don't know what's really wrong with you. Finding a doctor, like do those even exist anymore? So I moved my cot outside. It's kind of a warm evening. It's still August, but A, I want to be found if I croak off, and B, rotting body tends to tear up everything around it. So if I croak right here, it'll just be this one tape in the tape player. So, all right. So I was at Dad's place, and I just killed three guys. I looked out. They didn't see me first. I'm not a trained soldier. Never was. So when I dozed off that night, man, mostly I was just thinking about these guys. Now they're just doing what their country tells them to. Like, we support the troops. You gotta understand other places support their troops too. It's very Patton-esque, you know. You gotta make the other guy die for the country, but everybody's trying to make their do whatever. So if God told you to do that, what if their God told them to take, defend you, whatever? Yes. It's a conundrum that should keep you up. If you kill somebody and it doesn't bother you, then you should reevaluate yourself. Or get a job as a mercenary, either way. So I sat up there, the wind, rain, swear, the wind just blowing through there. Like the hurricane hit that night. It had to have been close. The water got ridiculously high. I swear I saw a tornado amongst all the thunder and whatever. And it didn't get quiet like they say, like the eye of a storm does when it goes directly over you and everything gets dead calm. But the wind slowed for about 40 minutes there. And I was like, oh, it must have passed and it picked back up. So it's not that I went over, but it had to have been close. This is directly over the top of me in this town. Woke up in the morning, still raining, still gloomy. You know, that rain stuff where you can tell the sun's out behind the clouds, but the clouds are so thick you're barely getting any of it. I looked down, saw that there was so much water down there. At least 4 foot overnight, whatever, so my cop car was just trashed. It had, got water, got picked up, moved a little sideways. So all the gasoline that I drank by accident siphoning, that was useless. But I was armed, I was doing okay. I looked down to where there were now 6 bodies, or there was supposed to have been, and there was only 3. 2 of the ones that I had ended the night before, and the one by the fence. The 2 that were further down the drive were gone. Couldn't see them. I don't know if the water picked them up or if they got caught over the fence and I just didn't see them. Could definitely smell them even over the wind. They were really starting to decay, gross, after about 2 days up there. And the rain and the water did not help. Looked around from where I was. I didn't go down there and start wading around in it with the bodies and the grossness. I don't know if you notice about floodwater. Generally, it's salt water, sewage, and fuel. And it is not good to get on your body, especially if you don't have any water to wash it off with. So I tried to stay out as best I could. Thankful for having my big search and rescue boots, but I didn't go down there. I looked, I couldn't see if the bodies were in the fence line, or if they'd floated out somewhere else, or came and went with the tide, the 25 miles inland, or if they just got up and walked off, man. The rest of the apocalypse is coming. Why not this one too, right? I wouldn't put anything past like a hoodoo priest or something like that. So, I didn't go looking. I waited. I looked downstairs, made sure the doors were closed during the last hurricane that I went through where the world wasn't ending. The doors had blown open, especially when the water came through, but these were still closed. So I felt relatively safe upstairs. I had a little bit of food, but I was starting to run low. I know Dad had kept some canned stuff downstairs that I had seen so I could get into those, but it's like, who knows about the expiration date? I think some of them were still left over from his Y2K scare back in the day. So I just sat upstairs, and to sit with yourself alone in the silence with just the rain and the wind outside, which I normally love listening to the wind and the rain, but you sit with your own consciousness after having to, hurt other human beings, to kill other human beings. That was almost torture. It was just sitting alone thinking. I try to get my mind on anything else, like where's my family? Where are my friends? When are the lights coming back on? Are the lights coming back on? Where's the military? Why are these guys doing this out here? Oh my God. And it just ate at me. Every what if scenario, having a good imagination always served me great as a writer, was really horrible in relationships because I imagined relationships and things in it that weren't there for good or ill. Uh, but in this situation, it was absolutely miserable. I tried to distract myself. I thought of maybe trying to write all this kind of stuff down before I found this tape thing a year later. But I thought of like writing these things down. But then, like, what if civilization comes back? What is this just merely a blip? Kind of like the pandemic was only like a year. It was just really weird. Like, oh, governance, everything's back in a year, and they're coming back like, hey, who killed all these people? Who did this? And who stole this? And who broke into houses? Stole this gas? I wouldn't be the only one. I kind of took a little solace in they can't catch us all kind of deal. But would that come back? Is this something I worried about? But at the time, it is just survival. So I hope that would, get me through it. So the rain started to let up the next evening. The water was receding mostly all day. Like it was just the storm front where it had pushed it up in the storm surge. And so it all went back, but we'd been raining, and it was a hurricane a week before, so all the ground was saturated, so the water didn't have any place to go, so everything was just mud and gross. And down here, all that means in a couple of days, it's going to be mosquitoes everywhere. And if I'm worried about disease vectors and stuff now as I'm laying here coughing and getting sick, Zika virus, bird flu, swine flu, any other kind of stuff you can get from mosquitoes out here. And then, God help us, you got screwworms going nuts, and, lettuce was giving everybody diarrhea and stuff like 3 weeks ago. Like, now I'm out here having to eat canned goods or whatever I can find. Like, who knows what kind of grossness I got out here. So, as much as I was hungry, I wanted to eat all the canned foods, but I knew I had to keep them up because who knows when you're going to eat anything else, right? So, the next evening, I went out. I tried to drag what bodies were left down to the end of the driveway. Maybe that would destroy them off a little bit. I went back and I had no hope for when Dad was coming back. The feed that he had for his animals was all soaked in sewage and salt water and grossness. So I just opened the chicken cages. Now I'd kick myself later because chickens is food. You can eat them, but I didn't. There's no way to store it. So why slaughter 40 some odd chickens and have it waste when you can turn them loose and maybe come back and hunt wild chickens in a couple of years out here amongst the whatever. I didn't want them just sit in a cage and starve. So I let the chickens out, and they went to doing what chickens are, scratching and pecking anything that moved. Half of them didn't jump out. It was about dark, so I get it. And I went and found, a couple of little mules that they had left, and horses. I could hear them in the back, so I just opened the gates. Like, they would be fine. They had plenty of water in their trough from the rain because they didn't go anywhere because it was full, and plenty of grass under most of that muck. So, in case something happens, they would have a way to get out. I like animals more than I like people, so I just left it open, let them do their thing, right? So, went and found the one old mule that they had. As somebody to open his stall, he poor bastard been standing in there in that water for who knows how long. Got him out, and there was an elevated bucket of water in there, so he wasn't dying of thirst. But I got one of the bales of hay off the top and let him chew on that, and found my dad's old saddle that he had for me, the old Circle Y leather saddle, Western saddle. And now I had a mode of transportation that the fuel wasn't nearly as expensive. So, I figured with the dark it'd be easiest to move around. It's only barely raining, so I got up on his mule. I can't remember the name they gave him. It was one of those ones that came on his papers, and it was something, Top Bubba's, just silly names. I just called him Mule. Reminds me of an old webcomic I used to write. Like, this is Mule. He was this, dapplingly gray, but he also had like this stripe on his back, the Sicilian-looking thing. He had shorter ears. He wasn't a big old donkey. He was a mule, He was pretty tall. It was okay to carry my big 300-pound ass, and climbed up on him. He was just happy to be out of the stall, I guess. He wasn't shod, so we're going to try to keep him off the road as best we could. But right when it got dark, I climbed on Mule, and we took off into the darkness of this little racist town in the end of the world. Alright, back at it. bugs just screaming, so at least it ain't raining. We kind of fighting mosquitoes a little bit. I got this net over this little crate where my cot is, but they follow you in, so you got to fight off the ones that were hanging on your clothes, you know. Alright, so yeah, I left on mule, and yeah, I had seen The Walking Dead, and I know it's not great for animals, but it's better than walking. I'd be better off than they are, you know, smarter than any kind of, you know, TV cowboy. So we took off, and I went back by Andy's place, and nothing had really changed other than the water came through, but nothing was cleaned up or moved, so he had to be somewhere else, man. And there was the big block after that down, I can't even remember the name of the road. One road down from Andy's, and apparently that's where the tornado had come through. Trees just twisted and broke off, and houses and little trailers in that pasture that ran out by McGinnis's old place. It's just flattened, and it's just, I was like, holy crap. And I kind of shouted out and was like, hey, anybody out here? Anybody good? You know, I still have my medical kit on me. I was trying to at least try to help somebody, you know. That's just that ingrained emergency management stuff where you're just like, oh shit, there's an emergency. Let's go manage it. I didn't hear anything. There wasn't a lot of movement. There were still bugs, and you could tell something was going on, but you couldn't hear cars in the distance or anything. It's like we were straight up abandoned. Like people that lived here just didn't come back, and you know, the military and the government that was always there, and were always helping, they're always there for your taxes and your money if you screwed up, but they weren't there. No, man, it was crazy. I decided I'd try to ride down to my mother's place. That's down Hitchcock, but it's right down this straight ass road, so me and Mule just took off that way. Yeah, down there, and we crossed them, and that's where the trees are always real thick. And you know, there's a bunch of broken limbs and all that kind of stuff. And it was still breezy, but it wasn't like hurricane coming to get us kind of stuff, you know. So kept going down there. Occasionally I'd stop, look around a place or whatever. I wouldn't get off a mule, man. I was just stopping in the road, stop looking around, seeing if I can see or hear anybody. But it was all but abandoned. This town, I mean, it's a small town. I think the sign said it had 100,000 people in the entire damn thing. But on this backside of the road, hell, we made it happen. Maybe a quarter of that. But to have that many people just up and gone or whatever, you know, I don't know if they abandoned it because of the, you know, invasion or the hurricanes or what. But to not have any people that I could find, it was so weird. But we kept down 28th towards Hitchcock, and as we got down there, almost 6:46, I could hear people. He got close. I went from being abandoned to being like, sounds like there's a festival or some shit going on up here. So thinking about, you know, the Walmart stuff, I was like, man, what the hell is on 6:46? There ain't a whole hell of a lot. But I got down there, and then I heard a fucking vehicle rev, and it was like either a really loud truck or a standard motorcycle, you know. And I was like, well, there's some kind of racket going on. I can see a bunch of people milling about. There's this, you know, decent house, and it's usually surrounded by like hay fields and stuff. But once again, man, it was like a little, you know, this is deep Alphaloma, right? So this is a tent city, you know, and it's just a bunch of little tents popped up. You can see some that didn't make it through the water or whatever. And then they got those pop-up canopy things all over the place. There's people out there. But there seems to be like a fence made out of like cars and bullshit and stuff all around that fucking hayfield. Those people out there. I'm looking, standing up my stirrups, looking out that way. And, you know, big guy steps out and he got a shotgun pointed right at me. And I was just like elated to see people. So I had my shotgun in my hand, but it wasn't pointed at nobody. And he goes yelling angrily, like, who are you? What do you want? You know, how dare you? You know, kind of stuff. Where are you going? I said, dude, I'm just passing through trying to get to my mom's house down in Hitchcock. And he's like, you can't come through here, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, I'll turn around. He goes, nope. And I was like, dude, I ain't getting taken hostage, man. I was trying to laugh about it. Like, and he was just like, nope, you need to come over here with these people. And who are you? Where are you from? Just started giving me a third degree. And I said, man, I'm on the high ground here. But he's got that gun pointed right at me. A little short barrel thing, but I wouldn't want to risk me or mule. Man, son of a bitch. This is not going great. Like, I just kind of walked right into it. I guess that's how most of these people are. And I looked over and I noticed that everybody in there was white. And this fella, he's kind of wearing some, dog whistling, white supremacy kind of stuff on his little vest. And I was like, oh, shit. But he comes up, and I try to bluff him. I try to bullshit him. No, just a white guy, grew up here. This is my hometown. Just left my dad's heading to my mom's. Blah, 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 blah. And he started yelling slurs, racial shit at me. And I told me to get off mule. And I said, man, I'm just trying to be cool, trying to get through here. And that rifle on my back, I had that rifle on my back, underneath my backpack. I guess he didn't see that. But he's yelling at me, drop shotgun, blah, blah, blah. But he's the only one I can see, but I'm sure there's got to be more. And he's yelling. I ain't going to be able to get a drop on this guy without me getting hurt to the mule, So I go to step off, and when I do, that shotgun is in the crook of my left arm. And I swung down with my right leg backwards, And as soon as I sat down, that shotgun of mine pulled around the bead on this guy. I still had my left foot in the stirrup, so as soon as it lined up on him, I hit him right in the leg, and the leg just kind of came apart. I just pulled myself back up on that mule, and I took off. I pulled off to the left, man, off that other pasture that apparently they just hadn't used or hadn't seen, but it was tall grass all but laid over from the storm, whatever, and I heard a couple of shots, pow, pow, but, nothing come about it, and a bunch of screaming. I took off, and took off to that pasture, and I heard that damn motorcycle crank the hell up. So I was like, well, I'm gonna stay off the damn road. So I'm trying to cut through these pastures. I used to run around this part of town. Mom used to live closer over here. I'm trying to remember, there's like a church up the road, but there's not a lot of animals and pastures and stuff. So I just cut through the yard. So I'm just bailing through the yard to get up over by the church, and it's just houses. So there's not a lot of fences. You could just walk from yard to yard over there, man. It was crazy. Wasn't like a real subdivision. It's just where the housing was from the old town center, So I'm ducking what I can, dodging. I can't even look back. I don't see anybody coming. There now and then you hear one of them bullets tumble past you. Oh shit. So I duck and try to get behind a different house or whatever. And then I got over to Mom's house. It was right next to the church, and it was the house, and it had a basketball court. So everybody loved that house when we lived there, because they'd come over and get on the basketball court. And out there, stopped the basketball court, went to looking around. Didn't see anybody follow me on foot or nothing. I didn't hear any other shots, but I hear that bike going up and down the road. So I kind of tucked behind that little house, and there's this little cubby. Mom had dug a little, like water feature back in the day, a little pond thing, and put banana trees around it. And they're long gone now. It's just a little angled part behind this house. But I stepped in there, stepped off that mule, and just stood. But I checked that mule, make sure he didn't have any holes or anything in him. He's a lot bigger target than me. I didn't find anything. He seemed to be doing okay. He breathing heavy because he had to carry my big ass at a run. But, seemed to know it was his best time to be quiet. So we sat there and we heard that bike go up and down the road. And behind this house, there's a spot of trees and then like an old couple of duplexes, I think. And then the church is on the next road over. And I could hear them go down there, but I couldn't see them. So if they couldn't see them, they couldn't see me. And I heard that bike getting further and further down across the old side where my buddy used to live. And I crossed the street, and it was going up and down that little grid over there. So I got back on the mule, and I took off back towards town, not down towards Mom's house. But I figured I'd get over by Highway 6, kind of hide it out, and try to move it dark, So, got back on, spent about 40 minutes ducking through driveways and backyards and storm trash and rubbish and tree down in the road, a whole mess. Got over there, got close to Highway 6, and man, as soon as I topped the berm where the damn train runs, I see on the other side a bunch of guys in camouflage.